What is up, YouTube? So it's another video in my, I guess, random military series that I decided to start doing. And I guess today I'm gonna have kind of like a summary of like my high school experience. Technically I was in two schools because I had ATT in Great Lakes and I had like my high school in San Diego where they do like the sonar stuff. But I'm gonna start off with my Great Lakes experience. This was like a year and a half ago or two. Oh damn, a year. No, it was like 2 years ago. 2.5 years ago or so. So my Great Lakes experience was like, I remember when I got out of boot camp, like Great Lakes was pretty cool at, I can't even say that. So I remember when I got out of boot camp and I found out I was going straight to Great Lakes. It was kind of clutch because they allowed us to have Liberty for the weekend. So I checked in, got to spend the whole weekend with my family and then come back like Sunday. I think you had to come back by Sunday night or something like that. And it was cool because if you weren't staying in Great Lakes, you would get sent automatically to your school. So you would have that afternoon after graduation with your family. And then next morning you'll be on your flight. Or if you don't have a flight the next morning, you'll have Liberty that day possibly. I don't really know how that process works, but you're not spending the whole weekend with your family. Like they literally let me check out, go sleep at the hotel with my family for the weekend, go to Chicago, do all that stuff, which was pretty cool. After that, I was on the Bonhomme in Great Lakes. Bonhomme's dope compared to the other barracks because the other barracks are kind of ghetto. Bonhomme is like one of the newer ones, but when I was in holds there, I think we mustered like 5 times a day. Like it was kind of excessive. And I remember somebody complained about it and they added more. It was horrible. And yeah, I think I was in holds for like a couple of weeks and all we really did was clean and random training and stuff. And the training was just like military knowledge, right? I don't know. It was like, I don't even remember it. And then we also had like, the NDOC and all that stuff. NDOC is like a week long or however long. But yeah, I think the thing that I hated the most about the whole Great Lakes thing is the Liberty policy, which I'll go more into like after like I explain the school portion. So once I got off hold, I was in ATT. ATT is trash. Like, oh my gosh, like, well, I'm a sonar tech, so we had the longest ATT course and one of the hardest courses because we don't go back to Great Lakes to take more courses. We just take that one pipeline and we're done. And we had a GM as our instructor, did not know anything after the second week. So we pretty much didn't have an instructor. And it's pretty much a bunch of modules, PowerPoints, all this stuff. And you're learning at your own pace, but there's a test every week. So I was grinding. I was doing extra study. I was doing all this stuff because I was so afraid to fail a test because if you fail a test, they take away your liberty and all this stuff. And I was like paranoid. So ATT sucked in general. A lot of people failed. I think we started our class with like 18 people. We ended with like 10 or something. And it was like bad. And we had people added to our class because like once you hit a certain week, that they like dropped out of, they could like join in that week, and we still only finished with like 10 people. So it was tough. What ATT is, if you don't know, it's like an advanced technical school where you start off with like the basics of electronics and you go all the way up to like transistors, like diodes. I think we did fiber optics and like stuff like that, and just like kind of learn the gist of everything. So it's kind of cool. It's just really hard. And yeah, during that time, back to the whole Liberty thing. So Great Lakes, when I was there, we had Liberty at the NMT's discretion. So you would get out of ATT at like what, 1600 or 1500, and you would go to your barracks. You usually would clean for however long they wanted. Then we would just be waiting for Liberty to drop, but you couldn't change it to civilian clothes. If you were caught with civilian clothes, depending on the NMT, they would like push back Liberty more. You had to be in your room with the door open, I believe, and kind of cleaning. And like we had this one NMT that he would walk around the entire barracks And then like once he saw everybody was cleaning, he'd be like, all right, let's drop Liberty. So usually you would get Liberty like 16, 17, but there's been times where I didn't get Liberty till like 1800. And it's trash because in Great Lakes, to get from the barracks to the main gate, it's like a 30-minute walk. Like it's far. And then there's taxis, but the taxis is like a whole nother journey. And then there's nothing around Great Lakes. So the closest mall I think is like 30 minutes by like Uber or taxi. So once you get off a base, it's like now you gotta spend another 30 minutes. Like getting a haircut during the weekday was so hard because it's like if I get Liberty at like 1700, it takes like 30 minutes to get to the, well, it takes more than 30 minutes because you gotta walk to the main gate, take an Uber, and then go all the way to the mall, and that's like an hour. And then do your haircut, do whatever, and then Liberty would expire around 2100, so you have to be back on base in the barracks by like 2100, and they'll do like a muster where they walk around, make sure everybody's in their room. So it was like trash. And then if you go off base, you also need a Liberty buddy. So you have to sign out with somebody, and if they're in a different barracks, it's a whole, bro, this process is like so tedious. Like you got to do it with your barracks, go to their barracks, do it, sign them out, come back, sign out. Like you got to do like 4 steps, and it is annoying. But yeah, on the weekends it was better because on weekends Liberty is like starting at like 7 a.m. and I know you still need a Liberty buddy. And if you're doing overnight, I think overnight you needed 2 Liberty buddies, and you have to route a request and don't have to accept it. But you're allowed to do overnight on weekends if you didn't have duty. So that was pretty cool. But Chicago is like an hour or hour and a half from base by train. So like what I would do, I would leave mad early on like Saturday morning, or I'm not sure if we had Liberty Friday night, but I know you could do Saturday night. But yeah, I would like go to Chicago, chill there, do all that stuff, and then come back like Sunday afternoon and then like have like the rest of the schedule as before with ATC and all that stuff. But when I was in San Diego, our school was so different. Well, now they changed the curriculum a bit and they changed some of the policies, but in Great Lakes, you had 4 people to a room. In San Diego, we had 2 people to a room. The barracks inspections in Great Lakes were like every day, randomly. No warning whatsoever. Dust on the floor, hit. Like automatic phase down. Like it was very tedious in Great Lakes. Like those times where we cleaned in the morning before we left for class, got inspected, and somehow we got like enough hits to like almost fail or to fail. But in San Diego, it was like, I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays, they tell you what days they are, and like you, like if you know what day it is, you could prepare, and they were not as strict. As long as your bed is made, everything's clean, it's like, all right, your room is good, and like it doesn't smell or anything. So it was a lot more chill with that. Class schedule for A school, it was like 7 to 1600, so it was about the same. But Liberty was different because our school, our Liberty policy for the STG school was like, phase 1, you don't need a Liberty buddy. When you're not in class, you're not on duty, you have Liberty, you gotta come back for the night muster. Phase 2, pretty much the same thing, but you're allowed to wear civilian clothes because phase 1, you can't wear civilian clothes. And in phase 3, you are pretty much a free person. You just have to show up to class and not even muster, class and duty. Don't have to muster, don't have to check in, you're just vibing. And it only takes, I think, like a month to get to phase 3, and you just have to do like your qualifications and all that stuff. So it was like super chill once you got to phase 3. So it's like you would get out of class at 16, change, go to the beach, go do whatever, not have to come back till like class the next morning. Weekends, it was just like you could disappear after class Friday, and sometimes we'd get out of class early on Fridays. I think a lot of times we got out like lunch on Fridays. So it's like if you don't have duty that weekend, you're gone. Also, San Diego, we had 5 section. Well, we started with 10 section, but then they brought it down to 5 section. 10 section was amazing. You have duty like once a month, and it's like you were just free. When it was 5 section, it was like more annoying. There was duty every week, but it wasn't like that bad. But in Great Lakes, I think we had duty every 3 days or every 4 days. So it was like, yeah. And then when you're on duty in Great Lakes, you can't leave the barracks. Like you're stuck in the barracks, except for like for dinner and lunch and stuff. But after that, you're stuck in the barracks. In San Diego, I mean, you're stuck on base, but you could roam the entire base. You could go to the gym. You could do all that stuff as long as you don't leave base. So it was a lot more chill with that. Yeah, I would say that was pretty much everything for like my experience. One cool thing about San Diego or like the A school for us compared to Great Lakes also was we had like different groups like CSAD and other stuff where you could like volunteer and do events and like there were programs and stuff on base. Where in Great Lakes, I mean, they had the epicenter and they had activities, but they were not as frequent. And like there's so many people on Great Lakes base that like you can't always get a slot. Like I did one thing in Great Lakes when we went all the way to the airport and we did this triage thing where you had to like pretend to be injured. It was like a training event and it would come and it would be like, oh, my leg's like injured, and it would like simulate repair and stuff, which was probably like one of the coolest things I did. And that I think it was only 2 buses and it was like the entire base, whoever could fit on these 2 buses. I was shocked I was able to go, but that was like pretty cool. Where in San Diego, it was like every weekend there was like an event and you could just show up and it was like cool. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else. I didn't really write stuff down. This was just like off the top of my head. But yeah, that's my A school experience from Great Lakes and San Diego. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you have questions or want other videos. I'm trying to do a playlist of just Navy related videos and grind and get all these videos out because I've been procrastinating for like the last year on all this like content that I had like ideas of that I just never put out. So let me know what you want to see and I'll try to make a video out of it, or I'll just respond in the comments. All right.